What happens when saving the world gets you banned instead? Superhero cartoons are meant to inspire, to thrill, to make us believe in justice and courage. But sometimes, their stories hit a nerve, political, cultural, or just plain misunderstood. From Dark Knights to Eco-Warriors, these shows didn't just fight villains. They fought entire nations' censors. Let's dive into the 10 superhero cartoons that were banned in at least one country and uncover why some heroes never made it past the border. Number 10. Captain Planet and the Planeteers, 1990. This wasn't your average superhero show, it was a mission statement. Captain Planet and the Planeteers tried to save the Earth one polluted ocean at a time. With its mix of action and moral lessons, it taught kids about recycling, conservation, and global unity. But in some countries, that message was considered just a little too powerful. Malaysia famously restricted the series, claiming it carried political undertones that encouraged activism among youth. At the time, the show's episodes about deforestation, oil spills, and greedy corporations mirrored real issues the government didn't want highlighted. Even more controversial were its villains, industrialists, and polluters portrayed as exaggerated symbols of corporate greed. Despite its ban in certain regions, Captain Planet became a cult hit elsewhere, inspiring a generation to think twice before littering. The irony? A cartoon trying to clean up the planet was labeled too messy for television. Today, that blue-skinned hero with the green mullet is remembered as a symbol of hope and a reminder that sometimes truth itself can be seen as too radical for comfort. Number 9. The Tick, 1994. Absurd, loud, and completely self-aware. The Tick was everything superhero cartoons weren't supposed to be. It mocked cliches, broke every rule of seriousness, and made fun of just about everything, from power-hungry villains to overly dramatic heroes. But not everyone appreciated the satire. In Russia, The Tick reportedly faced a quiet removal from television because its humor was seen as disrespectful toward authority and order. Some broadcasters felt the show's parody of officials, power structures, and even patriotic heroes was too much for young viewers. The Tick's goofball catchphrases and surreal villains weren't dangerous, but the idea of laughing at power? That was another story. Elsewhere, certain European networks censored a few episodes for being too chaotic or confusing for children. Ironically, that chaos was exactly what made The Tick brilliant. It was a cartoon that refused to take itself or its genre too seriously. Decades later, fans still quote "Spoon" with pride, proof that humor sometimes makes a bigger impact than heroism. The Tick didn't just fight villains. He fought the idea that heroes have to be perfect, and that's exactly why he was banned in some places. Number 8. Static Shock, 2000. Static Shock was groundbreaking. It was one of the first superhero cartoons to center on a young black hero with powers, intelligence, and a modern city life that felt real. Virgil Hawkins wasn't from a planet far away or a secret billionaire. He was just a kid who wanted to make his neighborhood better, but not every country was ready for that message. In parts of the Middle East and Africa, the show quietly disappeared from schedules. Officially, it was because of themes of social tension. Unofficially, many believe it was because Static Shock tackled issues like bullying, community inequality, and justice in ways that made some censors uncomfortable. The show didn't shy away from hard truths. Gang influence, urban decay, and friendship across divides were central to its power. Yet despite bans, Static Shock became a symbol for representation in animation. Fans around the world still praise its courage to discuss real problems with honesty and heart. It showed that being a hero isn't about the suit. It's about standing up when others won't. Maybe that's exactly what made it too bold for certain broadcasters. Number 7. Superman, the Animated Series, 1996. When Superman, the animated series debuted, it was everything fans dreamed of: classic storytelling, powerful animation, and the most iconic hero of all time. But in Myanmar during the early 2000s, the show was suddenly pulled from broadcast. The reason? Government officials allegedly saw it as Western propaganda. In a nation where media control was tight, Superman's messages about freedom, truth, and standing up against corruption didn't land well with the authorities. To them, Clark Kent's unwavering moral compass and defense of justice weren't entertainment, they were influence. It didn't help that the show often showcased the power of individual courage against powerful systems. While banned locally, it thrived everywhere else, cementing its place in the Superhero Hall of Fame. The irony is striking: a show about doing good, censored for being too inspiring. Superman himself would probably raise an eyebrow at that. In the end, the ban didn't weaken his legacy, it only proved how strong his ideals really were. Because some symbols can't be silenced, no matter how hard anyone tries. Number 6. The Powerpuff Girls, 1998. They were sugar, spice, and everything nice, plus a serious right hook. The Powerpuff Girls turned the superhero formula on its head, giving audiences 3 pint-sized heroines who saved the world before bedtime. But even that kind of charm couldn't protect it from being banned. In China, the Powerpuff Girls was taken off air in the late 2010s, after authorities claimed it promoted undesirable behavior. Officials argued the cartoon's constant fighting, loud humor, and over-the-top villains were too aggressive for children. Some also criticized the girls' rebellious energy, saying it encouraged non-traditional conduct. Yet that same energy was exactly what made the show a hit globally. It celebrated individuality, teamwork, and courage, wrapped in candy-colored chaos. The ban didn't stop fans from finding it online, where episodes continued circulating through streaming sites and nostalgia networks. Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup didn't just punch monsters, they punched through stereotypes about what girl heroes could be, and even when censored, their message still landed loud and clear. Sometimes, standing up for yourself is the greatest superpower of all. Number 5. Spider-Man, the animated series, 1994. He swung through skyscrapers, fought iconic villains, and taught kids about responsibility. But Spider-Man, the animated series, faced censorship webs of its own. In the mid-90s, this beloved show became a global hit, yet in several Middle Eastern nations, it mysteriously vanished from broadcast schedules. The official explanation was that it contained Western moral influences. Behind that phrase hid a broader concern. Spider-Man's focus on individuality, freedom of choice, and heroism outside authority lines clashed with certain broadcasters' cultural messaging. The show's emotional depth, Peter Parker's constant struggle between duty and personal life, was seen as too complex for children, while its romantic subplots were toned down or cut entirely in multiple regions. In Saudi Arabia, networks quietly replaced it with locally produced animations emphasizing teamwork over lone heroism. Ironically, Spider-Man's strongest appeal was never about rebellion. It was about empathy, responsibility, and doing the right thing when no one else will. Yet those universal lessons didn't fit neatly into every country's narrative. Still, Spider-Man's web proved too strong to erase. Even where banned, DVDs and online reruns kept circulating, creating underground fandoms that only grew stronger with time. It's poetic in a way, the superhero who always gets knocked down but never quits, even when the censors try to cut his line. Number 4. Justice League Unlimited, 2004. It's hard to imagine banning the most powerful team in superhero history, but that's exactly what happened. Justice League Unlimited brought together DC's greatest icons: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and dozens more. Yet in parts of the Middle East, including the United Arab Emirates, the series was removed from airing due to what officials called occult and supernatural imagery. The show's epic storylines often blended mythology with science fiction angels, ancient gods, and alternate dimensions. But that fantasy element made some broadcasters nervous. To them, the mixture of moral lessons and mythological characters blurred the line between education and imagination. Episodes that explored destiny, prophecy, and magic were among those cut first. Fans who managed to get copies later found that certain broadcasts had entire scenes deleted or dialogues rewritten to avoid references to otherworldly powers. Ironically, Justice League Unlimited stood for the very opposite of what its critics claimed. It celebrated unity across cultures, beliefs, and galaxies. Though restricted in some regions, the show went on to earn praise worldwide for its storytelling depth and moral complexity. It wasn't just about saving cities, it was about leadership, loyalty, and sacrifice. And maybe that's why it made some people uneasy. Because Justice League Unlimited reminded viewers that power doesn't come from control, it comes from cooperation. Number 3. X-Men, the animated series, 1992. For many fans, X-Men, the animated series was more than entertainment. It was a mirror of society. Beneath the bright costumes and fast-paced battles lay powerful themes about prejudice, identity, and belonging. But not everyone appreciated that metaphor. In Malaysia, the show was pulled from air for what officials called unacceptable evolutionary themes. Its references to mutants as the next stage in human development conflicted with certain educational and moral policies at the time. The idea that humans could evolve into something more was seen as controversial. What's fascinating is that X-Men never truly promoted superiority. It promoted acceptance. Each episode explored the pain of being different and how fear creates division. Yet those very lessons triggered discomfort among those who preferred tidy, non-confrontational stories. Elsewhere in Asia and Africa, episodes dealing with discrimination and moral choice were edited or shortened. Still, the message endured. Kids who grew up watching Professor Xavier's students learned that tolerance isn't weakness, it's strength. Decades later, the theme song remains iconic, the stories timeless. The show may have been banned in some places, but the spirit of unity it preached continues to resonate louder than ever. Number 2. Teen Titans Go, 2013. It's goofy, colorful, and downright silly, but Teen Titans Go stirred up more international controversy than almost any superhero cartoon of its era. While most viewers saw it as lighthearted fun, some countries took offense at its chaotic humor and sharp parody style. Iran banned the show entirely, labeling its tone inappropriate for children. Meanwhile, in Turkey, several episodes were pulled for promoting what censors called careless behavior and mocking authority. The Titans' over-the-top antics, food fights, random dance breaks, and superhero laziness were interpreted as bad examples for young audiences. Ironically, Teen Titans Go was designed to be harmless satire, a playful take on the seriousness of the superhero genre. But its self-awareness was misunderstood. In a media environment where cartoons were expected to teach clear-cut moral lessons, this show's chaotic energy looked like rebellion. Despite restrictions, it exploded online. Fans loved its humor, catchy songs, and self-referential jokes. In fact, its controversial nature only made it more popular with older viewers who appreciated its irony. Whether loved or loathed, Teen Titans Go proved one thing. Even in comedy, superheroes can challenge expectations, and sometimes that's enough to get you banned. Number 1. Batman, the animated series, 1992. Stylish, moody, and unforgettable Batman. The animated series redefined what superhero storytelling could be, but its shadowy tone and emotional realism didn't sit well with everyone. In China, the show was removed from national broadcast shortly after its debut, with officials citing dark imagery and excessive violence. At the time, Chinese television was undergoing a shift toward lighter, locally produced animation. Batman's gothic atmosphere, film noir visuals, and morally gray stories were the opposite of what regulators wanted. Episodes featuring mental illness, corruption, and moral ambiguity made it a target for censorship. What's fascinating is that Batman, the animated series, wasn't violent for shock, it was thoughtful. It treated young audiences with maturity, exploring how trauma shapes people and how justice isn't always black and white. Those complex ideas made the show timeless, but also risky for countries that preferred clear moral divides. Despite its ban, the series found life online and on imported DVDs, gaining a massive cult following across Asia. It won Emmy Awards, influenced countless artists, and introduced the definitive versions of Joker, Harley Quinn, and the Dark Knight himself. Sometimes it seems the darker the story, the brighter its legacy. And no amount of censorship can dim Gotham's signal. So, what do these bands really show us? Maybe that even cartoons have power to question, to challenge, to reflect the world around them. From the eco-lessons of Captain Planet to the haunting depth of Batman, these heroes didn't just save cities. They started conversations. Which banned superhero cartoon shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you love stories that uncover the strange side of animation, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.